Hello, sweet souls. This is DTO in the flow. And today, for my 5Q interview show, I get to introduce a soul brother, beautiful human being, as you can see from the image, Dr. Kevin Slocum. He's a student, teacher, and the whole self has been on a path of self discovery since he was a teenager. It was through the continual feedback of imbalances in his body that he slowly awakened to the messages of his true self and integrated them to create a whole new self. This led him to become a yoga teacher and then a chiropractic doctor of the nervous system. He now serves as a transformational healing guide through his work as a network chiropractor and a channel for activating verbal transmissions. All right. Kevin, Doc, how are you, brother?
Yeah, good to be with you. Good to be
Absolutely.
seen.
Completely. So, where are you located?
I'm in Berkeley, up in the Bay Area of California.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So, anyone out there, let us know where you're located. Love to know where you're at. We're in this very interesting time in human history, and for global connectivity, I feel it's always beautiful. To also comment, you can ask a question here, you can share, and this is our 5Q interview. And we are physically where we're at. And I feel like consciously, today was a global meditation. There's a whole other defining moment of where we are. And so, with that said, I'm grateful that we get to share
Mm.
about consciousness, which is a part of the transmissions, the transformation that's happening. And one of the things I want to set the stage with is the Greek word and the meaning of pandemic means pan is all, demic is people. So this is
Mm.
truly from the definition of the word, a moment where all people and there's an
Mm.
impact that's taking place. And so you being one of those amazing souls, organisms on this planet, question one. So tell us about your personal journey with transformation through the body and what have you learned?
Yeah, thank you. Special time indeed. Yeah, so, a big part of my journey has been learning through my body, through the feedback of the body. The body, is a feedback mechanism for our consciousness, for our mind, for our heart. And I was just leading a meditation this morning, actually, and what I said is like the mind thinks, the heart feels all of it, and the sensation is produced in the body. So it's something that we can track and something that manifests to get our attention. So my body got my attention repeatedly. It has my attention. I'm in this body. I am with this body. I have learned to listen to the sensations and imbalances that manifest in the structure of my body, in particular, the way things have manifested for me and how I've learned, from a young age is from structural imbalances. It started with a left shoulder that didn't have as much strength as my right. I used to work out and I wanted to be really strong. And so it was like pumping iron, bench pressing, got into that, especially like on the overhead press. My
Mm.
left shoulder would not be as weak and I'd have to like compensate and use my body. So there's something going on and it was frustrating. So that's one example. And that just continued for a while. Time and time again, it would come back to this, like, what's going on with my shoulder? Why isn't this working? I really want this thing, this image, this identity of being the strong man and all the things that went with it. It's a beautiful thing to work out our body, get strong and have that experience. But it kept bringing my attention back to something's going on here. And over time, more of this stuff kind of occurred. I basically had to quit weightlifting I tried to get into boxing for a while. Again, trying to be a strong man. There's like a theme here. And my jab arm, it was my jab arm. So my jab arm would go weak in the second round. I wanted to compete, and I was really excited about this. I thought I was going to be this badass boxer. And sure enough, I couldn't do it. And my body gave me an opportunity to let it go. And, eventually I found yoga, where I got the opportunity to get more intimate with my body. And I've learned to listen. That's it in a nutshell. There's lots of ways it's happened. I've had lots of injuries, lots of sicknesses, repeated sickness, things that have really interrupted my life to get my attention through my body speaking up as I tried to kind of will myself to have certain outcomes, certain things that I thought I wanted, that I thought I needed as I've been on my path as a human.
Yeah.
So it's been a constant learning. It's been humbling, and now I'm a teacher of this. I was a teacher of this through yoga, and we'll get into that. And as a
Yeah, perfect timing. Question number 2: why did you become a yoga teacher and then a chiropractor?
Yeah, so we can flow right into that. So as a yoga teacher, I was so excited to step into that. That was so much fun. I love talking to people, being in front of people, guiding people with my words.
That's how you and I met, when you were in that chapter of your life.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was doing music at the time as well. And yoga just had such a profound impact in my life. And I think this is a common occurrence. We get inspired by something, and it's like, we want to share it. I wanted to share it. I wanted to speak up. I wanted to guide other people through the same process that I'd gone through. And what was so exciting for me was like yoga, was a very popular physical thing. It was really popular in mainstream culture when I got into it, like I want to say 10 years ago, when I became a teacher 10 years ago, it's now. However, I had been on the spiritual path for a while. I was very much into consciousness, and it was a beautiful fusion between the physical desires of popular culture, being, especially hot yoga is where I started, people wanting to lose weight, people wanting to look good, to feel good. And then it's like, you get people in this space, and then you get them in their body, get them breathing, becoming more present and alive to the sensation. And then in that space, through these particular postures, which, were created or channeled by these master yogis to access certain states of consciousness, then I had the opportunity, the gift, then to instill new insights, bring through transmissions, new ideas, to invite people into, considerations of changing how they are. And so for me, that was deeply nourishing for my being, for the teacher in me. And it was lovely to have, a space to be in front of people and to connect to them. Yeah. Really
so how
meaningful.
did that get into the chiropractic aspect of where you are at this present moment, correct?
Yeah. So naturally, I was teaching for a while, and I wanted just to develop more. Like, what else was next for me in my evolution as a teacher in the holistic healing arts, holistic healing world? So I considered options. I considered some massage therapy initially. Took some massage classes, and then went to a holistic health school, took one class, ended up being taught by a chiropractor. And then I had a series of synchronistic experiences. That one where I just got this download on chiropractic, and I was like, I could see myself doing that. I had no idea it was so amazing and so effective. And there's all these miracles they talk about and transformations. And then I had, some sort of mailer come in the mail to my chiropractor And she was like, you know how the universe works. This is for you. It's for an upcoming chiropractic career talk. And then a month later, the upcoming chiropractic career talk was coming up. And the president of the chiropractic school, who was giving that talk, came into town, into San Diego for one night. And as he was biting, had a little downtime right before the meeting, and he randomly pulled over on the side of the road because he saw a shiny car at a car dealership. Ended up talking to my stepfather randomly out of the 50 salesmen on the floor. And anyways, basically that was the occurrence I needed for the universe to like clearly instruct me that this was where I was meant to go. This is what I was meant to do. And so that's why I decided. I didn't actually know why I was there until after I kind of made the decision. But then, chiropractic is all about the wisdom of the body, about working with the wisdom of the body, not overriding it, which is common in our world. And we can speak more to that. So that's what led me on that path.
Wonderful. Yeah. And I feel the theme is naturally like speaking into your authentic self, like where you were, what that chapter was. Maybe there was needed, like as you're speaking of, like connecting those dots or having something uncovered. So getting to the core, the reality, the carbon-based life forms, which we are, like, why is authenticity so important to you?
Well, you said it. In the early days of Kevin, I wasn't so authentic. I had, conditioning. I had certain patterns, stories, an identity that I took on, that I assumed at an early age in response to my environment. I feel sad when I think of that. It's a common thing.
Yes.
I'm just going to pause for a moment. Yeah.
We have some beautiful souls commenting. Gianna, Alec, Kelvin.
Awesome.
Yes. The beauty of live streaming, to share this moment with others and to be connected to that reality, which is question 4. How can others learn to become more whole and connected to their authentic self?
Well, an example was one I just demonstrated. It's to slow down. It's to pause. Totally. To feel in that pause. Like, what's alive? What's going on for you inside, in your body, heart, and mind?
Yeah.
So creating space through, a ritual practice of pausing, especially in moments of high sensation and relation to others. It's easy to be operating subconsciously from like patterns that we don't know are operating, but for whatever reason, again, we learned a certain way to behave, to feel safe at a young age. And we've just continued to do that each day. And so, oftentimes we don't have access to that pause in the first place. Like we're wired to function a certain way. So a big part of it is really seeking healing, realizing that there's more available to you. There's more love available to you. There's more freedom available to you. There's more opportunity available to you. There's so much more available to you. Whoever you are worth all of that. And so the invitation is to find a healer, find healing practices. Like I'm fully for, seeking out like yoga, meditation, any sort of, or even other practices. There's lots of modalities that are being invented, I feel like, all the time. So seek out practices that resonate with you to help connect to yourself, to slow down, to feel your emotions. And the emotions are key because a lot of us, again, and I can speak for myself, I felt like certain emotions were not safe to feel for a long time. So any practices that are going to, ground you into your body and help you to access those emotions, whether that's personal practices or that's healing work that you get done with healers of various modalities, like network chiropractic is profound. Even medicine ceremonies, medicine journeys, I would, say that's another valuable gift. But human relationship is a huge one as well. Being in conscious relationship, being willing to slow down in moments of interaction, to be real and to practice that ritualistically, if that's a word, would be the invitation. But I'm available. I work with people one-on-one, basically, and in groups to help them slow down, to feel. I help guide people as a transformational healing guide to help them access those feelings inside that perhaps they didn't know were even there, to turn the volume up. And so there's more to share there. And
It's wonderful. Yeah, and I recognize there's a pause, and as you're familiar with the vibrations of music and how we can raise those vibrations. And when I met you, you were really in the flow of the asana, the beats, the rhymes.
conscious.
And Krista Richards came home from one of your classes and she was like, "You gotta meet Conscious." I was like, "Who's that?" So I wanted to bring that moment into our space of how I first
I love
was
her.
experiencing the flow and the rhythms and the vibrations. And yeah, I'd love to hear about how music has been a pathway for you
Yeah.
to embody, to authentically, as you were sharing, like how others can learn from that capacity for us. A lot of times it's a switch or a shifting or a pivoting, and all of a sudden you're in a self care. And so we've recognized that Mother Earth is in a possible process of self care, and there's
Yeah.
benefits. There's more living organisms being seen by us human organisms, and it's like, wow, they're actually feeling safe. And there's been spottings of like
Yeah.
dolphins in certain coves that have never been spotted before. And so there's these interesting indicators and evidence of this. And yeah, it's been an interesting harmonious journey, right? And that's what I love about, as everyone can see, harmoniousspine.com. So question 5 is, tell me about your next event. Where can you follow you online? And I'd love to have a little extension on the musical, rhythmical way that you approach your life.
Yeah. Thank you. I have deep reverence too for, as you share, just the pause that we've been placed, into, in a sense, this global pause, this opportunity to slow down, this rebalancing of the self, the one self, because there's one self here, as much as it's differentiated, where there's so much diversity in our expression as human beings, as consciousness, and all the creatures that inhabit this planet. And for whatever reason, we've been turned off, deactivated, disconnected from our bodies, from the feedback of life, of Mama, Gaia, the planet. And
Yeah.
so, it's a beautiful time to slow and feel more, and to receive that feedback, those indicators that you mentioned, to clarify we need to make a change. It's very important, So, we're limited on time, but I just wanted to shine a little light on that.
Yeah, I'm going to share with everyone my shirt. And I think what you're saying is really interesting. So it's, can you see that?
Keep calm, do qigong. Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
had no clue this was going to be the theme of slowing down at the level that we're speaking into, and it's like, okay, I guess I wore this shirt wanted to be worn for a purpose today.
Totally. Yeah. Fit the field.
Yeah. So when are your next events, and where
So,
can people
yeah,
contact you?
I've been in transition. So when the COVID pandemic erupted and the sheltering order was placed, my partner Gianna and I actually closed the doors to our practice up in the Oakland Bay Area, where we're practicing network chiropractic and facilitating transformations with people. Since then, I had a process of going through kind of a deep metamorphosis in this
Yeah.
pause, and our practice is still on pause. However, I'm just beginning to birth some new offerings. I'm in the middle now of just a 10-day meditation experience called
Mm,
Align that I'm guiding. And so
mm,
that's the first thing I'm doing, just to respond, to come out, to offer some gifts after having been, sheltered for a little bit,
yeah.
and just to integrate the virtual platform to connect with people. Like, how do I adapt? How do I extend myself through the world virtually and share my gifts, shine my light at this time of need and crisis? So I'm in this kind of transfiguration, basically, of my current
Mm,
expression.
yes. We so much are in a moment in time which is history being lived. Like decades and decades in the future will be known about this time and
Hmm.
space and time. It's a pivotal moment. And so I love how I've heard the term cocoon being used a lot, how we're
Yeah.
emulating that process of becoming
Hmm.
this, the metamorphosizing of us as these organisms, right? From the mind, body, spirit, and the connections that we get to have, and the chakras. And what I really love is the access points that you were sharing of, whoa, my organism speaking to me. There's a
Hmm.
message, there's a signal, there's a notification.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get just like a, small little text notification. Sometimes, you get the pounding on the door notification,
Yeah.
or the hip or the shoulder. So I really wanted to share with you that I had a moment where I was running into a yoga class late, and I just jumped on the mat and I didn't warm up properly, and I had like
Mm.
one of those shoulder pops.
Hmm.
Um, Even the instructor heard it from across the room and looked over. She was like, "Oh," and I just was the
Mm.
Incredible Hulk guy, and I just like kept on moving through the injury, just like
Yeah,
toughing it out. So I know
yeah.
I definitely messed it up further than it needed to be. So that's where the mind got into the way
Totally.
of the body. So the question,
Hmm.
as you know, DTO is Dave the organism. So the organism, which is, as you say, the connectedness that we're all this one self. Um, I'm curious to hear, your perspective on what's happening on the planet, and then how
Hmm.
you're impacting, reflecting, and possibly creating boundaries, which are really healthy to have boundaries, because the world is go, 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 go. Everything's out
Hmm.
there, shiny, bright objects. Got to be in your car, got to be in a plane, got to be in a train. And so there's this, as we are live streaming in this moment, there's the shift of live events to live
Hmm.
streaming events. And so, into question 5 here about your next event, is this an opportunity now where people can connect with you globally whenever this event is launched, and more details will be shared.
Yeah. First, I want to speak to that thread and just like we need to slow down. Like, that's so important.
Totally. The breath.
Yeah. Just
And you
yeah. Yeah, totally. And I mean, we can go fast at times too. It's important to have the range available to us. But yeah, the body is a powerful resetter, and it will slow us down. This virus, or the planet will slow us down as much as we need to. And if we don't slow down, then we will, have more significant occurrences, which will then slow us down, which we've gotten the opportunity to.
Those are additional notifications, right?
Additional notifications, yeah.
Your phone's going to blow up with notifications. Your body's going to blow up notifications. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting because what it took for me was in 2005, my father told me he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So then that
Mm.
human experience that he had of living as a man
Hmm.
with prostate cancer, and grateful to say he's not suffering in his body anymore. But that was my awakening moment. So sometimes we don't learn as these human beings. These
Yeah. Vulnerable,
supposedly
humble
we're like,
humans.
yeah, or we're supposedly like get the data, we know it in our mind, and we sometimes feel it in our body, we feel it in our heart. So where's the pathway for that connectedness? Because I feel like that's what slowing down is about, if I'm not mistaken. As far as I'm only speaking in my own journey, is all of a sudden like the mind, the heart, and there's this interesting connectivity that gets to be what it is. So that's where I'm really grateful that you sharing those offerings to others out there on a live streaming event. I feel it's like where's all this goodness we've been waiting for? And I feel like people are slowing down and recognizing it's a holistic, whole body, mind, spirit journey.
Hmm.
So Mother Earth
Uh-huh.
pulsating into like the whole, like, okay, go to your room, sort this out.
Totally. On
So
a quick practical note, because you said like, where's the access point to that for people who are listening, people who may just want a simple, and this is just perhaps popular in a lot of circles, but bringing your hand to your heart, bringing your hand to your body, like that shift of attention,
yeah,
grounding your awareness in that way can be a very simple way to help slow down, to feel. And so I would just suggest, if people are feeling like they're rushing or they're feeling a lot of like intensity, and
yeah.
that could look like a very different thing, to place your hand on your heart, and that be an access point to slow down, to feel, to pause before proceeding into the next moment, or, saying whatever you might want to say in the next moment in relationship and interactions with the challenges that we're all going through as, again, humble, vulnerable humans, I'd say.
Mm, yeah. Mm. It's all about the pause and the breath, and I'm really feeling, the first song of my first album was titled Breath, and it's
Mm.
like everything has come back to that. And actually, I will share that tomorrow, a version of that song called Breath of the Goddess will be worldwide with Davy Rose. And
Awesome.
so that's what we're creating. And I feel like there's such a commonality between us with, Buddha Music Group. Raising the vibrations of the planet through art and music is the intention, and the waves of the frequencies. And I feel
Hmm.
like there's almost like a frequency wave that happens when you're beginning to open up those channels. And so we appreciate that piece of wisdom and your own practice. And I feel like your entire ability to authentically share with us has opened up pathways for us to say, oh, yeah, that's where, like, your shoulder story really got to me. I was like, yeah, this is why I've actually shifted and becoming, into my body, right?
Hmm.
To synergize with everything, because it's all connected, as we know. So
Yeah.
beautiful, brother. Do you have any closing words?
Um, Thank you for
Mm,
sharing the music, for the goodness, raising the vibrations. That's definitely a huge way that we can, up level our vibration or help to integrate any sort of energy that gets stuck in our system. Um, but yeah, coming back to the body, strange times that we're in right now, exciting times,
yeah.
difficult times. Trauma is meant to be triggered, I believe, at this time, so that, we have this space to cocoon and to go through all of it, whatever that is, so that we can integrate the pieces of us that, can perhaps do things in a more harmonious way, including all the parts of us, so that we can be in community with each other and the
Mm,
land that we're in, and learn a better way to proceed and go forward. So just, yeah, humble appreciation to be with you, and to be with, humanity as well as we all go through this together. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
It was a pleasure, and I feel like there's infinite pathways. This is just the beginning. I'd love to have you back for an additional
Yeah,
extended
yeah.
version of the
It's
5Q interview show.
extended. I know there's someone. I was like, oh, totally. Yeah, I would love that.
Actually, I have a song, Bursting Stars. It's a Shavasana song from my first album, and I'm
Awesome.
creating an extended Shavasana for 10 minutes.
Nice.
And I believe it's in this. All right, let's expand. And I was reading
Uh-huh.
that more apps are offering guided meditations. There's a variety of them that's been reaching out to me to utilize music for these, and that's really what I've been creating in a flow state of feeling into like, where is it that I can serve? How can I be a contribution? And so I honor you
Awesome.
for
Yeah.
creating opportunities for people to have that energy from you, that it's still quarantine friendly. Because
Yeah.
that's really what live streaming, as we are able to do in these times and spaces, like, I'm grateful to say we have the infrastructure and we have the networks and the friends and the connections, and and obviously we send blessings to anyone out there that has any loss during this time and have lost a loved one or is currently in any state of illness, whatever
Yeah.
is occurring in the organism, the body, the temple. And so I really appreciate you, Dr. Kevin, to be able to bring us into this possibility to even have a conversation about it, even if it's just all in the head right now,
Yeah.
partially in the heart.
Yeah.
It's wherever you're at is where you're at, and that's where we all get to arrive to that place and space. And so thank you for your authenticity and your presence and your energy, brother.
Yeah. Thank you so much, brother.
Yes.
Bless you.
Blessings.